Welcome back to Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Cappelletti, and this is Zach Dingy. Oh, shit.
It's me, guys. It's Bryce from behind the camera. I'm on set with Tony, Two Dudes, Three Legs, and we're at Vidl Barbershop. Man, this place.
Sick. Run some B-roll.
Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast is actually changing the way that entrepreneurship is received in the Hudson Valley and definitely far beyond by valuing business-minded operators that are here in this community.
The boys in the trenches out here really getting it and making a difference.
So, I mean, it's going to be a great episode. We got Alex, Vivar, and Breven. We're here talking about everything when it comes to touch points, stuff that we learned from the vault and how it translates.
We talk hospitality. We actually talk Will Gadara, which is not that surprising because, I mean, he's number one with it.
And believing in the unity and power of working together. And that leads us to our sponsor for today's episode. Thank you so much to True Team Players. This is a clothing brand and apparel brand. Super nice hoodies. It's getting a little bit colder out, so throw this thing on in the fall weather. Just keep your fit on point. This is
veteran and family owned and operated, correct?
That's right. They sent us these hoodies. We're loving them. Thank you so much to True Team Players. You can go to trueteamplayers.com, check out their brand.
Let's get into it.
Oh, you fucking want to be famous.
Guys are looking sharp.
Zach Dingy,
Tony Cappelletti.
Two Dudes, Three Legs podcast, where we share business tips, interview experts,
And travel the world.
This week on Two Dudes, Three Legs.
I think that actually you got to be legit. Like, you got to be a barber to give yourself a cut with the self-cut.
100%. Unless it's like, so for me, like the reason I even got into the industry because I started cutting my own hair, and that turned into like a passion. And I was like, oh shit, I'm pretty good at this. And it kicked off from there, like cutting friends, family and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, it helps to have the eye. And like, we all are artists in a sense. But when you have the artistic eye to be able to like, I say draw, but at least visualize and see where you're gonna get with a blank slate. Like looking at it already, I'm already breaking down what I would do. I'm looking at you already. All right, I broke it down already. I already know what I'm gonna do, and I'll sit down and talk to you and like pretend like still be respectful and like consult and like what are you looking to do? But at the end of the day, I already know what fits you best. And if it aligns, great. If not, then I'm gonna convince you to think what is better.
It's uniquely one of the arts that's only on somebody's like person.
Yeah.
It's not clothes, right? You can take clothes off. But but what is the difference in tattoos, yeah. But like what's the percentage wise, and I'm sure it's changed over time for you, between like the art side and the business side, right? Like, is it like, do you lose I talk about this with like entertainers and different music artists too, like when you really start to pop is when you really start to get serious about the business side, and then how do you maintain the art side?
So, the other day I met this one girl a while back ago, artsy girl. I saw her, I'm like, yo, she's a vibe. Like, she had a buzz head. I'm like, yo, I could do design work on her. And I met her a year ago, and I didn't cut her hair till like 2 weeks ago it was. But I learned that for me being in the business, right, you have to set time aside to get creative because it's hard to do it behind a chair. You have to I blocked off 2.5 hours for her. Normally it's like 45 minutes to an hour. But it allowed me to like create content, get pictures, go outside, bring on my camera and get shots. Because when you're like back to back, it's hard to even create content, right? If you're in the trenches, right? It's hard for you to like get the befores, the after, the process, and then still have time like, oh, let me get some pictures real quick because you have a client that's coming in right after. And I feel like when you're trying to create content with a client, if it almost takes away from the experience. Some clients are cool with it. Some like, oh yeah, of course, oh yeah, please put me on your Instagram, But I think it's always best to put time aside to let those juices out and to keep that fire sparked in you.
Got it. Yeah, well, that's for content creation for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely a creative pursuit.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to be able to have creative energy with every client that we work with at Q29 because we are shooting content. That's the only thing we do.
Yeah.
But in a sense, like that other side, like the art side of sculpting and seeing the vision, and like how much do you lean into your creative vision on someone's head? Like, do you impose your thoughts? Do people love to get in your chair and say like, do you? How often is it do you, or like, hey, I want a 3 or a 2? Or...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
I think just like having a conversation with somebody, I've gained, I guess, trust. Once I listen to what they have to say, get an idea of it, talk through with them. But then I feel like once I start sectioning the hair, and which you never see that, right? Like how many times have you gone to shop and someone's actually taken individual sections, parted your hair a certain way, like now you're like, holy shit, this guy knows what he's doing, right? So I feel like once I get to that point, they're like, go ahead and do your thing, right? So like for me at least, it's like the first time you sit in my chair, I'll do exactly what you want, right? I might try to talk you into something else, like, oh, my hair goes to the left. Well, I think, I'm combing it, I think it goes a little better to the right. Oh yeah, we can maybe try that, but I typically go left. Cool, no problem. So I'll cut it to go left. I may not like it, right? But it's not up to me. I don't wear it every day. But now I'll tell you, okay, I'll style it going right. And I'm like, oh my God, it does look different. So typically the next time they come in, they're like, I saw what you were saying. I think I'm ready to try it going right? Because it's just like a contractor building a house, right? I might tell him my idea, but I'm not gonna tell him how to do it because I don't know anything about that. The guy tells me it's 3/4 of an inch. I'm not gonna tell him, cut it 1.5 inches, right? So it's like, this is my job. So I'll do what you want, but understand like, I know what I'm talking about, right? This is my thing, right? So
Sometimes you got to approach people soft.
correct, right.
and it comes with like reading them and understanding. Again, that's part of the consultation. But for me, to me the best is when they're like, just do what you want based on like a referral and knowing that that's just how it works, or just respecting the fact that they understand that I'm an artist and they know that at the end of the day, you always want to let artists do what they want. Like whenever I like putting this place together, like the painter and like the design wise and stuff like that, like I had people help me. I had Breven's vision help me, and like everyone, I put trust on them, and I see their vision and I trust them. Like, all right, I'll just flow with it and let them do their thing, let them express themselves. So for me, is when I'm cutting someone's hair, I expect that, and if I don't, it's okay. It's fine.
I've given Tony a fade. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
How many times have I cut your hair?
Yeah, a couple times.
Because you guys know my mom is
The hairdresser, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like when my hair is messy, if I just get it high and tight, I look all right.
Yeah.
Even though it was pretty butchered.
Tell them about your, Tony was like slicking it back like hard, like the hard slick back for like the whole first half of this year. And then we all like over at the studio, my sister and like Shawnee were like, yo, Tone, when your hair is like letting it curl, we're
for the girls, bro.
Yeah.
For the girls, right?
Embracing it.
I was just talking to my barber I was telling you about up in Kingston, and he said all the kids now are trying to make their hair look like mine does naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they had kids coming in from high school all getting perms in September so they can go to school.
They're getting
with perms.
perms for real?
Young kids, bro.
That
You
was me.
seeing that
Like
here?
those long
The
shags
curls,
in the
bro.
front where like, the kids have it like sitting down here. Yeah, but they want curls.
Yeah. So I got gassed up. I started growing this shit a lot longer up top, and then just keeping it nice and tight on the sides. But I still got some work to figure out up here. I don't like.
I used to
think I'm
get
halfway
perms. I was
there.
getting perms. This is I cut
shit.
it off like a little over 2 years ago. It started already, like now it's still kind of set. I feel like it still has another year left in it. But yeah, I was getting perms about 2 years ago for like a year. So I grew it out, and it was a thing.
I'll never forget, I was cutting this kid. I've been cutting him since probably elementary school, right? So this is years ago up at the first shop, right? On Route 9 there, right? So he comes in, he's like, hey man.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like,
that's right.
He's
Oh,
like,
that
yo,
was-
so what do you think about doing a perm? I said, a what?
Yeah, no.
I said, a perm? Well, I'm not giving you a fucking perm, right? And he started dying laughing. He's like, wait, you can't do it. I'm like, bro, it's a chemical process. I don't have any of that stuff here. I was like, I'm not qualified.
I didn't
to
know
give you
all
a
that,
perm.
bro. I didn't know what a perm
I was like, so if
was.
you go to a salon and get a perm, right, and then you come back, I'll cut it however you want, but I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea how to do
It takes like
this.
2 hours.
No, it's
Bro,
a
it's a
process,
lot.
bro. You gotta sit there with the chemical.
I let them at hair school do a dry perm on me, and I was there for like every bit of an hour and a half because they wanted to see how it looked. I wanted to see how it looked. Yeah, because they did it dry, no chemical.
No, okay, I was gonna say that's
So
a dry perm.
I was
Got
like,
it.
I don't know about this. My hairline's a little too deep for this.
That's funny, bro.
Yo, how do you deal with that? Like with people that are like starting to lose their hair, or like younger guys who are getting that, like maybe it's balding in the back, or maybe the hairline's receding. Like, do you have people in denial about it? Like, what's up with that?
I mean, there's so many different procedures now, right?
Yeah.
And you have people flying out to Turkey to get
Yeah.
their hair transplants. There's the procedure where like they take hair from the back and they literally surgically put it in on the top, or they take
The S&P. They do the S&P
the
too,
S&P,
like
which
the
is like
tattoo.
which is like tattooing to fill it in.
You guys offer any of that here?
Oh nah.
You thinking about it?
I thought about the S&P, but then I realized, and this is with anything, I feel like when you first hear an idea, you're like, oh fuck, that's dope. Like and I was like, man, this is dope. I went to a class last year, and then they had a class about it, and I'm like, oh, this is dope. I'm gonna cake it. I'm gonna have fun because it's me being creative again. But then I had to take a step back and realize that it wasn't aligned with my goals. It was literally, would I have made more money? Maybe, yeah, because I would have figured it out. And again, it was me being artistic, but it was going to take away from the vision of like what it's all leading to now with Vidl. So I decided not to do it.
Because me thinking from a business perspective, right? If it's tattooing, when you go to a barbershop and a tattoo shop, the vibes are very similar.
Yeah.
Like to me, if I own this place, I'm having guys doing tattoos on the other side. And now you got people coming in here for everything. It's mixed marketing. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's,
Vital tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Went in for a buzz cut, got myself a sleeve.
Yeah, no, it would be cool.
The S&P is just like a whole nother marketing thing. Like that's just, you have to market it entirely different because you're not typically going to get someone to book an appointment in here and be like, hey man, can you tattoo my hairline on? You know what I mean? So it's just, you have to like really hammer that home on, for me at least, on social media and market it entirely different. But there's money in it, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
There's so much money.
That's what I'm saying, thinking as a business perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I met this guy. He has a hair school down in Westchester, and he was telling me that he did it. And he did it on him. He actually had it done on himself. And I was like, there's good money in it. He was like, bro, there's so much money in doing it. I just don't know if I could.
well,
It's a
I wouldn't
it's a
even recommend
process,
you
too.
learning how to do it. Just rent a
Yeah.
chair, right? To somebody who does tattoos, have them.
Yeah, because
Do it.
I know from what I've heard, the procedures anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 or so, depending.
And the
But-
course is like, it's a pretty,
The-
not
it's like-
extensive, right? But it's a fairly
The
extensive
guy from
course.
Florida, yeah, I think it was like $5,000 for the class, which is, I mean, it's an investment because you paid itself once you master it.
Right.
It's good
Pretty
to
set.
have it, you know what I mean? Just as like another thing to add, but you don't want to like overdo your list of things, right? Because you only got so many hours in the day and in the week, It's like you'd have to take a day because it's going to take a couple hours, and then if you only have one or two clients, and you got to schedule accordingly to it. So there's a lot to it, but it is kind of cool.
All right, so Alex, tell me about what sparked all of this for you. I want to know how it started.
So 2 years ago, I was co-owner of the great studio right down the street, and we knew that the lease was coming to an end, and we knew that the business would soon be separated. I wanted to open up a barbershop, and then my partner wanted to open up a salon. And I had about 3 months to like make a decision if I was gonna stay in there, keep the brand, or find a new space and rebrand. And the landlord ended up raising my rent significantly amount, and that's when I knew, I'm like, all right, I gotta find a new space.
He gave you that push.
Yeah, he did, and I needed that because if not, I would have not been looking.
Everything for a reason, bro.
100%.
It's funny, right?
100%. And my good friend Eric owns this building and told me about this space. So I came and looked at it. I'm like, all right, cool. This might work. And but that was the least of my worries. My worries is like, yo, I have to come up with a brand ASAP. So I was out in Beacon with a good friend of mine, and we were chopping it up. And he's like, hey, Alex, so you have a name yet? I'm like, bro, no. By that time, I think I had like 2 months left. And he's like, well, what about? He's like, essential. He's like, during the pandemic, you weren't considered essential, and they shut you down. But he thought, and everyone, and as well as me, right? We feel like barbers are essential, hairstylists are essential to our community because we keep everyone's frequency and mood high.
That's facts.
So
Bro, I was hurting yesterday. I needed a haircut so bad.
Yeah.
I was so happy to get
It's so
one.
me
true
too.
that-
Like, he cut me up yesterday too, and I was like, man, like I forget how good it feels to feel sexy.
It's true, bro.
You know?
Sometimes I'll be like too long without a haircut. I'm like, why do I feel so foggy right now?
Yeah.
I can't function.
Yeah.
And then I go get a fresh cut, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the
So
littlest
it's
thing, right?
incredible.
Even a little cleanup, like
Yeah.
it makes a
Or
world
shaving,
of difference.
right, for
Yeah.
you.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so he's like, all right. He's like, I was like essential. I was like, that's already a name brand of a that's a brand of a clothing brand already. I don't know how I feel about that. He's like, all right, and he's like, call it Vital. He's like, but don't write it out the way it's spelled, Vital. He's like, write it out the way that the pronunciation is in the definition.
Somebody used a thesaurus. They went essential, vital.
Yeah,
I like
this is
that.
all, and he's a creative too, because he's the one that helped build my stations at the previous suite that we had. We got all new stuff here, and I was like, I sat with that. I'm like, yo, that's kind of dope.
It is dope.
And I waited about a week, and I'm like, bam, I hit up my designer. I'm like, I called her up. I'm like, hey, listen, like this is the name. We sat down and brainstormed and color schemes, everything. A lot of the branding was inspired by the brand Kith, which is one of my favorite brands. Ronnie Feig, he's based out of New York City, KITH.
Yeah.
They use very, everything he does is an experience going into his clothing store. It's a complete vibe. And the color schemes and all that, the simplicity, modern, clean. It was a lot inspired through that brand. And she knew that, so we sat. Again, she's an artist. She helped me create everything, the colors in the website and all that. And that's when Vital was born. And at that time, Dro, another one of our team members, I had reached out to him and told him about the idea, and finally it aligned, and he joined, and he was the first one to join Vital.
That's fire.
Yeah, and then the beginning of the year, last year is kind of when we like really just started. I've known Breven for
Tell me how.
4 or 5
tell me
years
how
now.
Probably, probably.
You worked your way
maybe
into
more.
this,
so, yeah.
He had attended, him and Dro they worked together. They have attended, and Edgar have attended some of my classes that I taught at the Great Studio. So we knew of each other. But then I invited him to Vital Presents live hair art, where I invited local barbers from the area to come and just showcase and like a hair jam. People could just come, pay a ticket, hang out, and just watch creatives do their thing. And not necessarily teach, but just be in their element and just showcase their talent. So I invited him, and that's kind of where like juices started flowing, and like the thoughts were being put out there, and I'll let Breven tell the rest.
Yeah, so for me, I once the pandemic hit, I was like kind of up in the air with what I was going to do. I was at a shop. It was just I felt kind of stuck. Like I went back to hair school to try to, level up. I saw where things were going, and I just didn't understand it because I was never taught scissor work. So I was like, shit, I could see where things are going. I need to understand this. If I'm going to keep doing this, I need to know where things are going. So once the pandemic hit, I did a lot of thinking and was like, you know what, I think it might be time for me to kind of just open a studio, right? And then I have time, things are mine, I'm there. It's on me at that point to continue to elevate my game, right? So I was in a space, had a studio, started thinking about like, damn, I kind of want like a little bit more, right? So I ended up coming over here prior to Alex coming here, and I had a spot downstairs in the basement. My thought was to open a shop. So I ended up going into one of the apartment buildings around here. They built the space out. This was my holdover. They had moved in upstairs. So like we would, catch up here and there. Me and Dro worked together for like 3 years. So we were real familiar with one another, literally worked next to each other. So it's funny when I came here, like we ended up working right next to one another. So I was at my space. And when I had my shop, I was big on education, again, because I taught myself, kind of like Alex did too, right? And I was like, there's no education that comes to the Northeast. So I want to be that place, right? But I didn't have a brand. I was in the beginning stages of it. And for me, it's difficult to do all the things that come along with building a brand, right? So I started bringing the education here. Things kind of weren't working out at my space. And I had got the offer to come and cut at the event, and I did. And that kind of, started, like Alex said, got the juices kind of flowing a little bit. And he did, what was the event that you did at the shop? It was Dean's Art Pop-Up.
Oh yeah.
And I stopped by, and me and Dro were chopping it up, and I was like, yeah, things aren't really working out. I'm trying to figure things out, because I had a young guy, Edgar, with me, and my thing was like, holy shit, man, if this doesn't work out, this kid just started, I don't want to leave him high and dry. So I'm running around trying to find like another studio space, so like he doesn't fall into like, oh, I'm in the shop now, I have nothing and I don't know what to do. So I was looking out more for him than I was myself, because I was like, if I got to go on my own, then I'll be fine. So I ran the idea in my head. I talked to Dro, and I'm like, I kind of think it might make sense to like maybe come over here. And Dro was like, bro, I think it would work. Like, I know Alex has a lot of ideas, and I know you got a lot of ideas. I think collectively it would make a lot of sense. So I sat with it, and I hit him up, and I was like, yo, do you want to talk? I have an event that I'm thinking of, and it's kind of like something you did with the hair art. I said, I think I know how to like really kind of level it up and bring it up, right? So he's like, yeah, let's meet up. So we met up, went to dinner, and after that, I was like, that's it. I was like, I'm gonna make my decision, and I went, talked to management over there. Things kind of went south, and I was like, that's it. So we started talking, and I said, my main thing was just bringing the education here. I wanted it to be like, all right, he's got the brand, right? Working in another industry prior to this, I knew what it was like to have a brand around me, but you're adding to it to bring it up to another level, right? Yeah. And I knew with him having the brand, the only other way to build upon that was to bring another element to it. So that's where like the education came in. And we've had, let's see.
So we had Bonds from Italy, which is by far my favorite class that we had.
Yeah, we had
Bonds from Italy.
This guy, Alessandro Bonicelli.
So real quick, it's interesting to me that there's an education part to this, because, I don't know shit about being a barber, right? I thought you go, you get a certificate, and then you cut hair till you die. But so for me to hear, right? And that's what you get at the malls and those one-stop shops where you go and get your head chopped up, and you're not really happy. So to hear that there's this whole other side of it, which to me sounds like it's like this is art studio, like a hair art studio versus just a one-off barbershop that you get at the mall, or I wouldn't even call it a barbershop. What do they call it? Just a haircut place.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
really.
saying? Where they give you a fucking.
A lot of the places are like one-stop shops, like you said, right? You got a hair salon and you got a barbershop in the same spot.
Right.
There's some training there, but like, there's no extensive training. Right. Know how to go in and make some money and call it a day.
The Gray Studio was that. The Gray Studio was like a unisex.
Just
salon,
trying to get
barbershop.
as many people in the door as you can without niching it out.
Oh no!
But you had educated people.
We had a solid team, but we were able to fuse barbershop and a hair salon together. It was great. It was just time for me to start my journey, and for my partner to start a different journey, right? But
tell me a little more about how you guys further your education. So you have classes. How else do you guys level up in the barber arts?
So I think one good thing to do when I would go to a class or do any kind of education is to teach it to somebody else. And it stays fresh in my brain, and it's good to it's just good to pass on that energy to somebody else, because not only is it fulfilling for me, but it's also good to reteach in a way of teaching.
We do that a lot. And I run a sales office, and one of the big things I recommend to all my sales guys is go mentor someone else, because you really master your craft when you have to be able to present it to somebody else. So it's interesting to hear that it's like the same thing.
For any industry, it's the same thing. But for me, I would go to a lot of hair shows. I enjoyed hair shows, but I personally enjoy hearing people's stories and stuff like that. I would watch techniques and stuff like that. But for me, the way I learned how to cut hair, it's hard for me even to explain. Because for me to explain my eye to you, it's I don't know. Just to me, it's not possible. Because the way I view something, I don't think anyone can see it that way. And the way I go about it, it's not technically by the book.
It's not. It's not technical, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's
He's
not.
like
it's
he's
not.
a vision. He's a visual.
Yeah,
He's a visual cutter.
Yeah, I'm just like even this. Like I was just like I didn't draw anything out. I was just like, fine, I'm gonna grab this, and I'm just gonna put it here, and then I'm like, oh fuck, this shit fucks. It worked out.
this
you
shit
know,
fucks. I like
you
that.
know. So that's for me with education. But I would like to. I love networking. I love talking, chopping it up, meeting
There's
new people.
so much community in having a barbershop. It's crazy.
There's a lot of competition in it, but there is a lot of community once you start getting deep into it.
And it's
You
like
guys have fun with that.
And it's
Yeah.
like and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
and it's like high school, right? When you're just like there's all these different cliques. You go to these hair shows.
Yeah.
It's, like, it's literally all these different cliques. So
Yeah.
we are social animals. It's just how it is.
Right.
You know, I just thought about the movie Mean Girls. I think that movie explains. I would love that movie. My kids love that movie.
Yeah.
Well, watch it. That movie best explains society on how everything is.
Right.
That's for me with education, but like Breven, he'll watch videos. I mean, you could tell him more,
Bro,
but for me,
I'm
I
like-
can't.
Just learn
For
from
me, I
just watching
can't do that. Like, I'd rather just go to a hair
techniques
show and
and-
watch
So with
in
like him
person.
coming in here, right? Like I'm a visual person when it comes to, a space, right? I can see things. But when it comes to hair, bro, like because I burned my brain for so many hours trying to figure out these little Instagram clips, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like I can see it, but I don't know why they're doing it.
How they're getting the
I
result.
I want to know the why.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to know the how, right? So like for me, I'm extremely technical to the point where I overthink it when I do it myself, right? So it was funny because a couple weeks ago we had a guy stop in here that he came to one of our classes, and I've known him for a while. And he popped in, and towards the end of the night he was watching me, right? So I was like, yo, come over here for a second. So I started like walking him through some things, explaining why I was doing it, what I was doing, explaining, the face shape, the head shape, where I needed to do, leave more length or do certain things, right? So at the end of it, I was like, yo, so did you understand these things? And he was like, yeah, like I'm starting to get it. And I said to myself, like, that second guessing that you do while you cut, now you just proved that you learned something. Because I was not sure that I knew what the fuck it is that I was doing, right? But now I just validated myself when I was
help
able
with
to
someone
explain it
else.
to
Right,
him,
right.
and he said he got it. And as I'm listening to myself speak, I said, holy shit, you do know what you're talking about, right? Like these guys tell me all the time, and I'm like, no, man, I got so much more to learn. I don't really know, because again, Dro is extremely technical, but extremely visual. He's good on both ends of it, right? Whereas me, I'm just like, I got to do it like this. My hands got to be like this. The scissors got to be like this,
Yeah,
So
but
I'm-
that's how you get better. As
Yeah.
soon as you think you have nowhere to improve, you're
Right.
done.
And that's where like now that I understand that technical side, I can kind of work on getting more visual and cutting with more feel and letting it, flow a little free, right? So
Where do you guys get all your inspiration from?
Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
you
probably
see
a
the
lot.
trends, bro. Like,
Yeah.
for me at least, like even like dressing, right? It's like Europe is the trendsetter, right? So
Yeah.
like, Europe's the trend setting for fashion, for hair, for all that. So like we're like I think I was telling you before, like we're 2 steps behind. Where they're into doing like 70s, 80s shags, right? We're just catching up to where the 90s styles were with them a year and a half ago.
Has it always been
Those-
that way? We're always behind.
We're
them?
always behind because like
Doesn't America do anything original?
I know, right?
Do we?
Right?
I mean, there's certain things I feel like we do. But I think with hair in general and like fashion, I think it's always outside of the U.S. Definitely big in Europe.
They're not doing mullets over there.
But me,
Yeah.
they like shags
Yeah,
and stuff.
think about it because the biggest schools are from England. You got Tony, you got Sassoon, you got Paul Mitchell, like the one original like U.S. brand, but
Yeah.
everything started over there. Think about like
Yeah.
Milan's the fashion capital of the world for the most part.
Yeah.
right? So like that's where these things are coming from.
Yeah, and even like the big, like even like Nick Rojo, he's big here in New York, right? But all his teachings are from Sassoon, which originated from Europe, London, right? Right? And but even like for me, a lot of my inspiration, it comes from social media. But me, I love Japanese culture. I think like Japanese culture. Tokyo is like, I've yet to go because I was going to go in the pandemic and then the shutdown happened and a week before I was going to fly out. So it's still on my list to do. But for me, like they're ahead always are shears. Japanese shears are the best shears, period. Hands down the best. Japanese denim, hands down the best. And then I feel like with Japanese culture, everything they do with full intention
High
and
quality.
detail, and they don't cut corners, plain and simple. Other countries, even here, like I feel like everything's like U.S. made, yeah, but like it's not. They have a way bigger intention, and for me, intention is everything. When I do something, like if I'm gonna fucking present something, I have to give it my all. If not, I feel like
No half-assing.
no
There's no
half-assing.
half-assing.
Yeah, no half. And even like when
It doesn't appear that you guys half-ass it here.
No.
This whole place is beautiful.
Thank you.
And we've been talking a lot about the hair, but what inspired you for this space?
So when we were first in the space, we had hosted one of the classes, the first class that Breven did. Again, we had sat down and talked about it, and again, he had already the platform and like the ideas for the class, and I literally took it and made it Vidl, made it a whole experience for the guests when they're here, right?
It is
So the
an
setup and
experience. Let me get in that. Like when you walk in this place, and Bryce, please put some B-roll in the video while I'm talking about this. Like there's a part of Poughkeepsie you don't see here. First of all, that you're like shedding some light on. I took about 10 minutes just looking out these windows. You never see this in Poughkeepsie. I drive through here 100 times a week, and you don't get to see this nice stuff. It's like above the street and all the the riffraff down there. But this is an experience, like you said, coming in here. Like
Takes you
I
out.
was not expecting this
Takes you out of
when I
Poughkeepsie,
showed
right?
up today.
Yeah.
Like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I encourage anybody, if you're out here, come get a cut over at Vidl. This place is fucking sick. Yeah, like this doesn't feel like we're in
Just
Poughkeepsie.
pull up. Just pull up and take a look. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've definitely created, some type of art form up here with just the experience that you're giving to people, and you have free water. So
Canned water.
Canned water.
Sponsored by Proud Source.
Proud Source.
Wait, Tony, tell
We
me.
got this at Q29 Studio too.
Yeah. But you looked it up on Amazon and it was like,
Oh, this shit is expensive.
It is, but it's to me it's like man, like there's a lot of different things I can cut corners on, but when the name Vidl is attached to it, or I just can't, even if it doesn't make sense. I'm like,
You wanna give
for
the
the time
greater
being,
experience.
for the time being, with time, I do want to like logistically get there, and it's one thing that Breven had said, like, yo, we got to figure how to scale this, right? It will come time when I do that, and like, all right, well, this literally doesn't make sense anymore, so we got to figure something else out. But for now, again, like, if the name Vidl is attached, even if it doesn't make sense,
It's over
I'm
the
gonna
top.
still. I have to.
I love that.
I have to do
I
it.
love
I have
that.
to do it. And
Me and my brother have rentals, and when we renovate, we take shitholes and we make them luxury, and we have everything. Brand new stainless steel appliances. Every unit has a washer and dryer. You don't have to leave your apartment for anything. We make them extremely nice, and with that comes a greater customer and just a greater experience for everyone. You get people who respect your shit, and I assume it's the same here. You just, you're not going to get the idiot who comes in here, who's,
The random guy that walks in is like, hey man, I need a skin fade and a 2 on the top, but like I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like we want people that respect
are about
quality.
the culture. and part of it.
and
Yeah.
to see it and get it from right when they walk in. And for me, it's like the whole idea when in this space was like, and I love it when it happens, when someone reacts like this, but my whole idea with this space is when somebody walked in, I wanted them to be like, what the fuck?
That's what happened to me today. For real.
that's
And
what
I-
happened
and I
when you
love
brought
that.
me here
It's
too.
like-
Yeah, last time.
I think we're lacking so much of that in the world today, especially because the state of our country, right? People are hurting for money, but we still need to have the ability to go somewhere and receive like an unreasonable experience. Or not unreasonable. I'm thinking of unreasonable hospitality.
Which is a book I recently picked
Phenomenal
up.
book, by the way.
I recently picked it
Will
up.
Guidara, incredible. We just saw him at the
Will,
vault.
just if you see this, game changer,
Yeah.
full on game changer, not just for restaurants, but just
For
across the
everything.
board, everything.
And that's why I said it, because that's where it brings me is to Will Guidara. It's like you guys are handing out an experience here, not a haircut. This is a place you come to reset and get fresh.
When I initially connected with Brev, he was like connecting with me on IG, and it was at the time we were talking about the Vital Talk thing, and then Brev was like, yo, you guys are at the Vault, and I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, Will Gadara, like, is the guy, and he had already read the book. So
That's crazy.
we connected on that, and then when we had our last meeting, we were connected on kind of like those touch points when it comes to like client interaction every single moment. So it's like super dope. And you,
Breven had told me about the book prior, and I was like,
oh yeah, did you get it?
I was like, I'll get to it, right? And then the day we met, the night before, I told myself, Alex, tomorrow, which is the day we met, I'm like, I have to go to Barnes & Noble. I have to get a new book. Because this book I'm reading, it's just not it for me. I need a new book. And lo and behold, like, I always trust in the universe. We're sitting down talking, and then Bryce just goes, yeah, Alex, he's like, I was just at a convention right now, and like, you really reminded me of this guy called Will Gadara, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, he wrote this book, Unreasonable Hospitality. And then Breven's like, bro, this is the book I told you about a while back. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, Bryce, I'm like, you can't make this shit up. Like, last night I told myself I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble to buy a book. And when he said that, I'm like, this is the book I'm buying. I picked it up. I'm not done with it yet, but this will be the second book I've read fully, because I've only read one full book, and that was The Alchemist, because I just didn't enjoy reading, but now I do. And it's just cool for him, like, to read his words and be like, yo, this is what I think about.
Somebody who gets
I could relate, but now I'm gonna take it to a whole nother level, because so far in the second chapter, I'm just like, oh shit, like, you went from a small restaurant company, right? Now he's in the corporate, I forget how he described it, but now he's like, he started working for a different restaurant group, and he was learning the logistics, right? And then now he's like, I think he's in the next chapter, he goes back to the other group that they made him an offer, and now he's taking both mindsets and putting them together.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I worked in food service my whole life, you know, and hair was like later on, right? I was toyed with the idea. I never thought I'd be in it. At one point, I was looking to go to the culinary, and like, that's the other thing that I enjoy. So when I was working for the Renegades, I did sales down there. I ran the merchandising department. I did promo. I did everything. But like, when I interned down there, I was also almost 30 years old as an intern, right? So like, my mindset was entirely different than a 20-year-old coming in there. I was looking to get a job. Like, I needed a job, plain and simple. So when I got there, my boss at the time was only, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 years older than me. So when we started talking, he was like, you know so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, you know so-and-so? And he was like, yeah. So we kind of clicked there. So when I got there and I realized, like, we had clients like that we were dealing with, right? With, you know, sponsorships and all that. For me, that's where like the hospitality stuff kicked in, right? Because these people are paying thousands of dollars. They might have a sign in the outfield, but they'll go and get a luxury box for the night, right? If the quality's not there, right, as far as the service goes, even the food, but I mean, as far as the service goes, they're not going to come back, right? So that was like my first experience in doing the hospitality stuff, and that's what I was initially going back to school for, because I wanted to work in hotels. So from there, I was just like, I learned so much dealing with people day to day on a different level that I've dealt with, you know, working in delis and food halls and things like that. So when we came here and we started doing these classes, that's what I wanted to give people. I didn't want them to come in and just spend $1,500 on a class with somebody, and they come in, they cut hair, and they go home at the end of it. Like, I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to be able to experience the area. Like, if you're coming from, say, you know, Boston, right? I don't want you to have to figure out where to stay, because you could end up staying down the street, and it's like, holy shit, this is a different experience, right?
Fucking stabbed at the Gypsy.
So it's like, yo, hit me up, let me know. Yeah, like, I'll let you know where to stay. I'll send you the links to this place. Like, you want to go eat, let's go here. Like, I'll take everybody different places, right?
And that comes from that book.
Correct. So then when I read Will's book, again, going back to validation, right? It validated that what I was doing was right.
It was right, yeah.
Like, I love going above and beyond to people, because at the end of the day, right? Yeah. It's art, it's my reputation.
We need more of that shit. I feel like so often now in the world, every experience you have, no matter where you go, it's just like, pay me and get the fuck out of here.
People don't care about their reputation,
I hate it. Bryce knows. If I walk into a restaurant and the greeter doesn't say, hey, how are you? I'm like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
No, that's a fact.
I need to be felt like special before I come out of my pocket. And if I do, he'll tell you, we fucking spend it, me and my buddies. But like, if you're not gonna make me feel good and make me feel special when it's my turn to spend, fuck you. Because anyone I work with, if you're spending money and you're you're feeding my family, I'm gonna give you an experience. I'm gonna do everything I can for you. You know, any customer can call me at any moment. I'm answering. I'm doing whatever I can for them. And I feel like we're just lacking that so much. And I hate that shit. So to see this place, it's such a breath of fresh air. I'm gonna be coming here, boys.
Listen, the battle to me, it comes from trying to serve a greater number of people and trying to maintain that quality.
It's quantity versus quality.
You guys inherently are in a business where it's one person at a time. You can branch out and end up having multiple people trying to implement your style or whatever, your quality of service implemented through every single barber that's doing people in this place. But when you're Will Guidara and you're serving 500, 800 covers a night, how can you still keep a focus on that intimate feel and that quality, right? I have a friend who's one of the restaurant chefs at Mohawk Mountain House. That's 500 covers a night, serving weddings, 3 weddings a weekend. And it's like, okay, how do we like put that personal touch? How do they feel like it's not mass produced? That's the problem with our farming communities in the United States. I don't want to go way wide on this outlook, but the quality of food goes down when you're serving the overpopulated amount of people. So how do you make them feel connected to you? And it's not a manipulation, but it's like
there's a training that has to go involved. Like, you have to train and teach your people, right? It's as simple as that. Like, they have to feel, they're not gonna feel the same way you do unless they see you doing those things, right? Yeah, you could tell somebody all day, hey man, like, find out his favorite, whatever for this class, and like, it's his birthday or something. Well, if I'm not doing it, why the fuck is he gonna go and do it, right? So, but if they see that I'm out here making it a point to go above and beyond for somebody out here in the class, right? Like, as much, even if it's like, hey man, I had a kid, for instance, right? Ian, right? There was a snowstorm one of the last days of the class, right? He was supposed to go back up to Binghamton, right? He's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta get to the hotel. I'm like, bro, don't even worry about it. Don't call Uber, I got you. Gave him a ride down there. Told him, next time, bro, if you come down and you don't want to get an Airbnb or it's too much, like, or you can't get back up there tomorrow, like, let me know. I got a second bedroom, bro. Like, you've been to every single one of my classes that I've held. I have a relationship with you at this point. If you need to stay over at my crib, like, my wife's fine with it. Like, don't worry about it, right? Like, it's just, and people respect that, because even if it's like, I may want to go take this class from this guy, right? But I'm on the edge. I know Breven and Alex and Vidl are hosting it. I like those guys. So that might turn you just to come back and hang out, right? Like, you're going to get something out of it, but like, to come back and, just kick it with us for 2 or 3 days, like, you might actually want to do that instead, right? So that could push you into buying a class. It's, again, the experience. Yeah, it's a quality, right?
So how do you make sure that it translates to, like, not only the client, but like people that, like you said, like guys that are taking classes from you, or guys that are potential colleagues or peers, right? Not everybody has this kind of like elevated mindset, in a sense, that we share, where they want to better themselves. They have, like, do you guys have, like, I know at Q29 Creative, we're having like creative team meetings. We're trying to think about goals and steps and how are we going to incentivize our guys, because not everybody's a founder. So how do you make them have that elevated mindset? Do you have, how many, just quick, like, how many guys are here?
Total was 5 right now.
5. So how are you creating that sense?
So for me recently, I just had a shift on like realizing and acknowledging the fact that I've stepped away a little too much. And I realized that I have to like reel in the cattle back again. Literally, this happened this past week. I always knew from like the former location that we had, where we had a staff meeting every month, once a month. It's definitely needed. Even having one-on-one time, relationships. Talk about my kids real quick. I know with both of my kids, right, I have to dedicate one-on-one time with them, because there are moments that need to be shared between us, whether it's talking, catching up, or simply just being present with them. And the same thing goes with the team. Realizing that, like, with me and Breven, we chop it up a lot more than everyone else, because we're planning events, we're doing this, we're doing that. So I spend a lot of time with him, right? But I don't spend a lot of time with everyone else. And I realized that this past week again, because I do Reiki, acupuncture, cupping, gua sha, and all that. And during those, it's an elevated meditation. And with that, everything surfaces and everything. And a lot of the stuff has surfaced. Like, yo, Alex, like, you need to get back to tend to your farm, tend to your baby, the Vidl. And it made me realize that, again, I have to spend more one-on-one time with everyone, but then also to bring everyone together, because everyone has to, in a sense, be harmonized, and everyone has to be in the same flow, and reminders of like how the Vidl experience is. So yeah.
The common theme here is just special attention to details and giving people special attention.
Yeah.
People just want to be made to feel special.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's how you give someone.
And
a
it's
good
across the
experience.
board, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not just cutting hair or in a restaurant. It's just, bro, if even going grocery shopping, somebody like the person at checkout did something for you, or like, you know, the someone helped you find something you couldn't say, or was like, hold on, you know what? I don't have it here. Let me just go check the back for you. Bro, the fact that somebody even offers to go in the back and take a look and see if they have something, whether they have it or they don't, like that's, you don't get that.
People going out of
You
their
don't get
way,
that.
just
Correct.
a minor, tiny little bit. That'll make you feel special.
Right.
And it's from the top down. So I really feel like with our class of entrepreneurship is changing what entrepreneurship means in the Hudson Valley and further, because the ones before us, right, the people in their 60s and 70s who had extreme levels of success in this area and building these areas, right, and like building the businesses that built these areas, so, like there's still a lack of passing that through, like that culture. I think the culture is lacking, and I think our class is like heavy on implementing that into
Bringing it back.
into our businesses, right? Tony's in management. I'm in management and direction in my company. You guys are doing the same thing, teaching guys. You're spreading your mindset and skill set onto people, and we're all doing that same thing. And I think that's what's going to like change the future of our area and further. So, you know, and we should talk about, you know, the upcoming event that we're planning.
Let's do it.
Right, Vital
Let's
Talk.
do it.
Vital Talk
Yeah.
presented by Alex and us at Q29.
What are the dates?
I gotta look at my phone.
It's March 2nd.
March 2nd.
And I guess if something ends up being like not,
Yeah.
we could just change
We'll
it.
figure it
chop
out, yeah.
up. March 2nd, if everything stays the way it's planned to be at the Academy, it's going to be a viral experience, a live podcasting experience where we get people together and we share in innovations and experience and community, and try to like kind of continue to just like drop that energy and knowledge onto like the people in the room at this exclusive ticketed event.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, like,
Should we plug Will?
Yeah.
Should we plug Will Goddard if you're watching this? We want you to come speak at this event.
Yeah.
it is one of those things where like this, see, Poughkeepsie is the center of the Hudson Valley, and there's no reason why all these events shouldn't be here and be the base, right? We have the space already, the relationship, but we have the Academy, and then we have you guys that are killing it with the podcast and local, and we're all the same age, and it's like there's no reason why young creatives shouldn't be working together.
Entrepreneurship,
and
you
that's
know?
the whole thing
Like-
with, you know, Vidl presents the live talk, and just having the connections that we have, inviting these guests that have so much to share and so much to give, all under one roof, and getting them together for that one day that's vital.
It's awesome. And it's funny that barbers have always been the ultimate connector because they fucking talk to everybody.
Bro, you know
So it's-
everybody.
It's so funny that, you know, it's brought by you. So
I've learned to like listen and just like, oh damn, and just keep it moving. Because if I was to hold on to everyone's stuff, like, I got my own shit to worry about. You know, we all have our own shit to worry about, right? But at the end of the day, it's always cool to like hear and hold space for people. Because at the end of the day, that's when we're like we are therapists, unlicensed therapists, where people just come and let it out. And sometimes I could just feel it energetically. I'm like, oh, you could put a hand on the shoulder. You good, bro? Like, what's going on? You know. And it's like, even sometimes I could come in and they could feel it. The ones I'm like really close to, and I'll be able to like let loose a little bit and be my true self, as opposed to like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know. But sometimes I have to do that because I don't want to interfere with the experience. And it's cool to have, clients like that too that can like hold space for me sometimes. I'm like, yo, are you good? I'm like, yo, bro, I'm going through some shit right now, and it's okay. And that's okay too.
We're all just humans,
We're
bro.
human, yes.
That's all part of it.
We're all human.
That's all part
100%.
of it.
So that does bring up a good point where CEOs or managers of businesses it's a big push to like brand in personalized, individualized branding, right? So I do want to ask the question about like how you separate yourself from your business in a sense of like people see that you brand yourself, and then you also have this barbershop where you're going to get that quality assurance from whether it's a Breven or a Edgar, right?
Or a Dro.
Yeah, but like they want you, right? People hit me up and they're like, yo, we want you to shoot our video. It's like, well, we have a company. So that is interesting. Like, how do you kind of navigate that? And we all have our individual brands in a sense.
Yeah, we all do. How do I navigate that? If I'm not available, whether it's my price or it could be quote unquote the most expensive, if I'm not available because of my price, I'm like, hey, listen, I have a team. Like I'm building a team. They'll see it. I'll vouch for them. I'll immediately be like, oh, okay, you know what? You're gonna fit great with Breven. You'll fit great with Dro just based on personality or just like the energy that I see, right? Again, the connector, right? And then if it's based on like availability, I'm like, hey, listen, well, I'm not available. And for the clients that are like, hey, listen, like, all right, well, if I know that they're gonna take care of me, I'm like, I'll make myself available. But if I'm not, then I'll refer them to somebody that I could feel could like at least come close to like what I give them. But with this shop now, at the end of the day, my whole goal is to build it, step back, because I'm not able to build the brand to where I want it to be, and then still be in the trenches with my tool belt, still cutting. I can't do both. I've known that for a long time already. So the whole reason why I've got 12 stations. It's the whole reason why I realized that I can't do this together. It's the whole reason why Breven works for me. We work side by side because it takes a team to be able to build this even higher.
Absolutely.
I realized that I can't do it by myself. I realized that the moment that he came and joined Vidl at the beginning of the year with our first event and the classes and all that. So for me, it's just like really just stepping away, filling up the chairs, build them all up, and just watching from the outside, and then being in the front over there and greeting everyone. And eventually I'll train somebody to do that.
Just recognize the strengths and weaknesses, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't sit there in the forefront of everything and be the soul of everything. You can't handle everything. You have to delegate at some point, right? Like you have to understand. And the first thing is to recognize what your weaknesses are, right? Like I knew what my weakness was, and that was like doing all the legwork that goes into to a brand itself, right? Social media and all that. That's not my thing. I lack on that. I know that, but I also know where my strength lies, and I know like my brain doesn't stop. There's no off switch. So I'm always thinking about what can be done here, elsewhere, with my own personal shit, right? Like I got to keep going. So I need something to always be driving me, keep my, So coming here, it was like, all right, bro, I know you like doing events. I got all these ideas. Like, what do you think of this? Oh no, I like that. All right, well, let's try to do that. So it's just, on top of this, but doing other events and again, using the brand that he's built over the last however many years and the reputation that he's built, right? Let's scale it. Let's elevate it.
The best way to explain it, I tell everyone, and I told Breven already many times, I'm like, Breven comes and like the idea, right, is a seed, right? He comes and plants the seed, and I'm like,
I'm the farmer.
oh,
He's the
damn.
rain.
I'm like, yo,
He's the rain.
I'm like, yo, this idea fucks, and I'll come and water it, and that comes with like me supporting it or like funding it, whatever the case may be. I'm like, all right, this makes sense. I'm with this, and that's why it works so well because, again, back to what he said, weaknesses and strengths. He's out there like sending emails and planting. See, like this whole conversation, everything with this. He reached out to Bryce. I forget how it happened. I've known Bryce for a long time already. We've known of each other.
Yeah.
He's been to Good Time Film Story. We walk by and say what's up, but it just never connected because for me, like I got so much other stuff going on that for me sometimes to even take the energy to like reach out to me, I'm just like I got too much going on right now. Like it's just not in my circuit of thinking, right? To be doing that. But Breven's like, bro, what if we da 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 da? I'm like, yo, do it, bro.
But see, Tony, you get it, right? Because you're in sales. So like I was doing the same thing. So like you have to, that's what comes with it. Like you're on top of shit. Because if not, you know, that there's money that falls by the wayside, right?
That's how you get leaks.
And next thing you know, like Breven sending me the screenshot. I'm like, my fucking guy. I'm like, all right, cool. It's flowing. Let's do it. You know. So it works. It works. I'm very grateful to have him be part of the team.
Well, you guys have a fucking sick team. This place is beautiful. I'm really excited to see the future of this. I'm excited for the upcoming event. And I just want to ask, you know, talking to all the other people who are trying to do what you guys are doing and what you've accomplished out here, what advice would you give? You know, what's your message at the end of the day to everybody out there?
You can't do it alone. Your ego is always gonna hold you back. It takes a team, and you have to trust and know that you can connect and have this relationship with this person to be able to grow the brand. And that's, again, I learned all that this past year.
You have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for me, it's like if you have an idea, just kind of try to see it through as far as you can take it. You know, for me, there's a lot of shit that I'm working on, trying to work on, and it's just like I could have given up 4 years ago with this one project. I'm still pushing it now. Like I'm gonna try to see everything through as far as it could possibly go. You know,
He
never know.
He won't stop knocking, which is cool.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, all right, didn't align. I'll keep it moving. I'll find something else. But he'll
I like
keep
that.
knocking.
That's great advice. A lot of people give up a little too early, I feel like, too. So that's sick advice. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate
Thanks for
you
having
guys
us.
coming out here, man.
I'm going to come for a cut.
All right.
Yo, where do I sign up to come get a cut?
Hey, we'll give you the link. Well, you go to
No,
our
give it to us
website.
now while the cameras are going.
It's Vidl.com.
Vidl.com, or
It's
just pop in?
ITSVIDL.com.
all the bookings on there, all the information's
all the
on
links
there.
right there. Yeah.
Bios for everybody on the team.
Yeah.
And anybody can just come up here and get a can of water?
Anybody.
I just came here for a water.
Seriously, thank you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Appreciate
All right,
you
best.
guys.